about it, right? What you add that colors it, connects the dots. And of course, the most important part is the punchline, right? I mean, you got to think all that stuff through. And then I thought to myself, this really isn't my story to tell. Nonetheless, the rest of the sermon was written, so I needed it told, right? Can't start a sermon without the story, the intro. And I thought to myself, it's not my story to tell, it's Jeannie's. Jeannie, would you tell it?
I heard that out there. Moms out there, raise your hand. Mom, you ever had that creepy feeling where you just kind of wake up, nobody says anything, and there's a child standing next to your bed just staring at you? Yeah? And they always go to mom, right? Not dad. Occasionally dad, but that's usually only if something's really bad that mom's not there. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? So we were returning from a wonderful vacation in Colorado with all three of our children. This is when we lived in Illinois, so the kids were probably 11, 9, and 3 at the time. And I'm reading one of those Mary Higgins Clark's books, mystery books, on the airplane on the way home, and I actually finish it. So it's one of those ones, where the creepy guy lives in the basement of his mother's house, and he comes up the stairs at night, and blah, blah, blah. You get the drift, right? So we get back from the airport, it's 10:30 at night, get all the kids tucked into bed, go to bed. Have one of those dreams that are so real, and of course it has to do with the book that I just read. And of course we live in a 2-story house with a basement. And those ones where it gets to the point you need to wake yourself up because it's not really real, but it's scary enough you need to wake yourself up. So there it is, and somebody's coming up my stairs. I know, somebody's walking up my stairs into my bedroom, right? Like, okay, Jean, you gotta wake up. And I open my eyes, and at the foot of my bed is a small child in a long white nightgown. And I scream, which then makes the child, Katie, start crying and screaming, "What's the matter?" Well, you're the one at the foot of my bed. At which point, when Katie starts crying and screaming, Keith wakes up and screams, sits straight up in bed, grabs his chest, and is yelling, "My heart! My heart! My heart!" And I'm like, so what do? Do you take care of the child? Or the father? The child, of course. So he's fine. He must have gone on, though, for like 5 minutes. Oh my God, my heart, my heart. He's not worried about Katie, who's now hysterical and crying. And so there you go. You've all been there, done that, I'm sure, at some point. So there's his lead-in.
She forgot the part where I'm going, And why is it always little girls in long white gowns? I mean, it always is. Well, there is a point to that story. At night, it's dream, it's what you see, it's what you don't see, it's half real, you sort of know it's real. What's the point? The point is, we see what we think we see. We see what we want to see. We see what our minds tell us we're seeing, and sometimes we actually see what's really there. Ever go to an art museum and stand in front of some statue or painting of modern or abstract art? I'm not a terribly sophisticated individual, and I stand there and I look at it and I look at it, and the person next to me is going, "Wow, look at the sky and look at the people. Doesn't that really say something about creation and humanity?" And I'm going, "Really?" I just don't get it. They see something that I don't. But the truth is, there's this interchange that happens between, our physical eyes and our mind. We see something out there, and then as we absorb it mentally, it's filtered through 10,000 experiences and explanations and definitions and colors until it comes into our brain and we register it in a microsecond. We even have a phrase for this. We see something with our mind's eye. So eyewitnesses to an event, a tragedy or anything. I was going to say a wedding, but that doesn't come under a tragedy, does it? A wedding or a baptism or, some event, you can have a bunch of people there and they all relay it differently. Same event, differently. It's why a person who is in an accident, one person sees a paramedic and the other person sees an angel. We see with our eyes, but we see with our mind's eye as we choose, in some ways, to interpret how we see it, and that makes a huge difference in how we live. People say, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? What I'm telling you is everything is in the eyes of the beholder. Everything is in the eyes of the beholder. And sometimes our vision is immediately, instantaneously crystal clear. And at other times we see things and we have to cogitate, we have to think about them, we have to reflect upon them until we can articulate them concisely and with clarity to other people. Have you ever had that? You're trying to explain it to somebody and it's so hard to do because you just can't find the words to adequately express it. Well, I think, I think this is what's happening in our scripture. As Samuel, a young boy serving in the temple, he's by the Ark of the Covenant, he's in the holy area of the temple, he's working under Eli, who we're told is aging and getting older, and it is at the end of night. We know that because the flame is still burning, and they want us to know that it's still burning in the temple. So you're kind of in that in-between place, right? And Samuel hears a voice. The young child hears a voice. The old guy, not so much. You can just imagine the scene as Samuel jumps out of bed. He's got something exciting to share. He runs to Samuel and says, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." And he shakes him, and Samuel says, "Go back to bed." Right? How many of you from up north love your electric blanket? When you got it turned on and you're laying in just the right place and you know that if you flip the sheet back or you move, it's cold. Go back to bed. Go to sleep, Samuel. And it happens again, and Samuel jumps out of bed and he runs to Eli and says, "Wake up, Eli, wake up, Eli." And Eli says, "Come on, quit interrupting my sleep. I had a long day." Takes 3 times. 3 times, and then suddenly Samuel says, maybe God is speaking. Maybe I should take this seriously. Maybe I at least have to listen. At least have to listen. Sometimes it takes a long time for us to understand what's going on, what we're hearing, because we see that voice outside of us as an interruption rather than an addition or an insight. A vision outside our proverbial normal paradigm. Sometimes, let's admit it, we don't want to hear it because it's a bother. Go back to sleep, Eli says. You know that at that moment, when you say, "Oh, I'll go back to sleep, I don't want to hear it right now, don't bother me." At that moment, you're just too comfortable, right? I don't want my ease and my comfort. Don't interrupt my nice sleep. And apparently, a lot of people were sleeping in those days because the author of this text tees up the whole story by saying, pay attention here because visions were rare. Visions were rare in that time. An observation, I think, is applicable today, but that's another whole sermon. Rather, I'd like to take this and talk about us here specifically at this church and in Pass-A-Grille today. Visions were rare, and maybe we need to listen. As I enter my 14th year, can you believe it? Some of you are saying, man, I thought it was going to be done a long time ago. 14 years. Been here 14 years. I'm in my 14th year. I recall all the changes and challenges this congregation has gone through. Changes and challenges they faced and overcome. We are an entirely different church. It's not the church that was when I came here in 2004. Over the year, and that's a statement of fact and judgment. There is not a right or wrong, a better or worse. It's just different. Things have changed, just like they've changed in your life, just like your family has changed. The church family has changed. During those years, I've witnessed many comings and goings, some that make me very sad, some that made me very glad. No, that's not true. That's not true. I have literally seen the passing of a generation. I have seen the passing of an entire generation. And that's just within these walls. When you go outside these walls over those 13 plus years, we've had hurricanes and we've had tornadoes, or down here they call them water spouts. We have had presidential elections and great recessions, tropical storms. The doors haven't been blown off, but the steeple has been blown down, right? And through it all, we've somehow thrived. We've thrived in the process. But in that, I would also say we've become a lot like Eli. I think we've grown comfortable. I know I have. You get comfortable after so many years. Well, so-and-so's there. I know the routine. I know what's going on. Comfortability. We like our warm, cozy bed. But I would submit to you, as I said several weeks ago, in many respects, we are at a tipping point in history, and I think in a tipping point in this church, that time where we go one way or another, or we stay, and it's a critical time because it determines many years that lie ahead. And I think that perhaps we should listen, that like Samuel and Eli, I think God is saying, stand up, sit up, get going, and waiting for us to respond and say, here am I, Lord. What do you want me to do? I'm talking specifically now about our Raise the Steeple effort. The capital improvement program that is going to be laid before the congregation. And everybody should pay attention, whether you're a member or not, because many of you worship here regularly, even if only for a short time during the year. It's important. This edifice is important. It's important to stranger as well as friend. And it is something we need to hear and to listen to, because if you do a simple walk around in this church, you will see not only shingles blown off and a steeple knocked down, but you will see ceiling collapsing. You'll see ceiling collapsing. You will see carpeting that is growing fungus. Oh, yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't know that it's there, but it could be. I've gone into our bookkeeper's office and the carpet needs to be replaced so badly. If I was you and I was coming in to give her a check, I'd say, what are you spending your money on? Right? There's a question. We have things, we've inherited this beautiful place and we have things, but we've kind of ridden on the gifts of the past, and, to a degree it's kind of caught up with us. And we have to hear that and to think about it and what it means. Square footage is a premium. We change houses, we change based on our lifestyle, right? Not everybody lives in the same house you did when you started out. It certainly wasn't that way for us. When I was in seminary, our room was about 12 by 12, and to go to the bathroom at night, you had to climb over the kitchen table because that's where you pushed it to pull out the bed. And as you had children, you changed it and you adopted it, and some of you are at the point where you downsize, so we do that. What am I saying? I'm saying the family has changed. And we have to take that into consideration. It's nice when things are nice, but nice is not necessarily always faithful. And so I think that's where we're at. We have to ask ourselves, does this facility, is it nice and it serves me until I'm done, gone? Or will I enable it to continue on for believers to come in generations ahead? Will I pick up the mantle of joyous and generous service that was picked up by somebody and provided for me? Church leadership is going to share with you after worship today, and I encourage you to stop and talk and share opinions and enter into the discussion. The problems and the solutions, the challenges and the dreams, that we might figure out what we do and how we move ahead. There are some things that are non-negotiable. We just have to do them. The question is, while you're creating dirt and dust with one thing and it interplays with another, do you want to take care of the other too? And as we do this, some people will see, remember we're talking about waking up, hearing the voice, and seeing, and some people will see a waste of time and energy, an unnecessary expenditure of funds. Others will see all the things we could do without. Still others will see dirt and dust and interruption and confusion, good money thrown after bad. Some will see that. I'll tell you what I see. Hope. That's what I see. When I look at this, no matter how it turns out, I see hope. I see hope in that, in an age when many churches are declining, we are still doing okay. I see hope in that where many churches are closing their doors, we're trying to figure out how to open new and creative ones. I see hope in that the world may act as if we're irrelevant, and yet I can't tell you the number of people from the community who said, when are you going to put that steeple up? I miss it. We are still the place. We had a memorial yesterday. We are still the place that people come, whether they belong here officially or not. They come here because this church is a part of this community. People miss the steeple, which may reveal an innate need for our presence as people miss the light that it shines forth in so many ways. And so what I'm telling you, I forgot to mention the part about the bathrooms, didn't I? How many of you in the 70s had avocado kitchens? Did you? Did you have avocado? Did you? You did, didn't you? Or burnt orange? Harvest Gold, you call it, Harvest Gold. I had a royal blue bedroom, with long carpet. I had that. The bathroom upstairs is still that way. I'm afraid to go in there. Not only is the ceiling coming at me, but that Harvest Gold is jumping out. It would be easy to ignore all of this. It would be. And I'm going to tell you sincerely, I had my 62nd birthday a week ago. This is where you're supposed to burst into happy birthday to you. Forget it. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No. Anyway, at 62, I have to tell you, this is not, this whole looking at the facility thing is not really a place that I necessarily want to go. I've done it before. It's work, and it's effort, and it's sacrifice, and it's demanding. My kids said to me, why, back off. Don't work so hard. It's a relative statement, I understand. I put in 2 hours today, just want you to know that. But when something needs to be done, it needs to be done. And the opportunity doesn't come around all the time. And when God speaks, God help us if we don't listen. Here am I, Lord, what can I do? Knowing that God never makes us do anything. God just invites us to come along and join the party. And so we should listen to that text. Eli, Eli, wake up, wake up. Here I am, Lord. What can I do? Amen.